me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Even if you don't have the strong Parks and Rec department, but you have the open space like you mentioned, it does wonders for a community. This generation right now has gone through one of the worst things with COVID, which, you know, it's 4 years ago now, but the most important thing during that time was the parks. That's what they said, just get out and walk in the fresh air, and because you're away from people, or you're in nature and you see someone walking by and you just naturally smile when you're outside enjoying yourself in a nice park.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, coming to you live from the NRPA Conference 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Today's episode features an inspiring conversation with Craig Dolan, Vice President of OutdoorLink, a company that's transforming the way parks and recreation departments manage digital displays, signage, and communication with their communities. Craig shares how OutdoorLink is helping agencies save money, improve efficiency, and stay connected. From innovative technology to the future of smart parks, this conversation is packed with insights every Parks and Rec professional needs to hear. Grab your notebook, because you won't want to miss Craig's perspective on where our field is headed and how technology can make a lasting impact in our communities. Let's dive in.
Right. Okay, we are live. This is Craig LeBlanc, two Craigs, Craig Dolan and Craig LeBlanc, with the Daily Parks and Rec Show here live from Orlando, Florida at the NRPA 2025. We are sitting with one of our strategic partners. OutdoorLink came on as a strategic partner. We're going to create a show about smart cities, Internet of Things, and how to connect cities to all their devices. But Craig has actually served a career in Parks and Rec before he got it. So maybe tell us a little bit about that. And he actually had 3 years as a radio voice personality.
Well, I don't want to give myself that personality. I will say I did interviews for 3 years on a Wednesday talk show that talked about a community. But myself, you know, I did, 15, 17 years in Parks and Rec in the local municipalities. So
what city or what cities?
Started out actually in the city of Largo, which is on the west coast of Florida, Pinellas County. I did 7 years there, which was great. Town of about 85,000 when I left. So a larger city in that area. And Pinellas County, if you don't know, in Florida is probably the most populated county, densely populated, because we are not a large county, but there's a lot. And from there, I actually moved north to Tarpon Springs. And if anyone knows anything about Tarpon Springs, it is Little Greece. The sponge docks there, that is where a lot of Greek relatives and citizens came over and actually made their home, and they still do sponge diving there. So that was always interesting, being down on the docks, because it's still a working dock. So, and then from there, I did 7 years there as well. For some reason, I liked the number 7 when I started working. And then my last gig was with the city of Eustis, which is in Lake County and about an hour north of Orlando. So I did 3 years there, and it was a great time. It's a smaller city. So it's funny, I started out in the large city of 85,000, then I ended up in a city of 24,000. So I kept on going backwards, which is interesting, because typically people move up in the city populations, and I went backwards.
Right. And what were the different roles that you did in Parks and Rec?
Oh, wow. I started out as the teen program coordinator for Largo. So I was doing teen camp, teenagers. That's a fun one. So I started out as that and doing their intramural sports for the teens there, and then moved into our senior center role, community center, we like to call it, because it's not just for the mature population. And then when I got into Tarpon, I was their superintendent. So I was overseeing all the recreation side of activities. And then lastly, in Eustis, I was the director for the last 3 years.
So you hit that director role. How was that? So it was only in that last city, the smaller city?
Yes. Yeah. So the city of Tarpon was great, but we had the dynamic of parks under public works and recreation separate. They separated it years before I got there. And I had been working to bring them back together. But again, it sometimes works when they're separate, It sometimes works when it's together, and it was working for us.
Yeah.
So I didn't, at the time, the city manager didn't want to change things up, which I understand. If it's working, don't change it sometimes. But when I was with Tarpon, they sent me to NRPA director school in 2017 and 18, which was fantastic. So I got to learn a lot of things that way. And then from there, I grew into being the director role. When you find a place that you love, it's hard to leave. So it was challenging to leave Tarpon because I did it was a family there and we had a great time, but my wife is from the Lake County area. So the ability to come back home for her, I thought, why not take the chance and move over there?
Yeah.
So
how did you discover OutdoorLink? Did you kind of use them when you were in that other city, or they kind of found you, or how did you get connected with them?
So as you know, Parks and Rec is a very small community. We have a lot of members, so 100,000 strong, but when you're in the field, you are truly, it feels like family.
Right.
So one of my colleagues there is Dave Ramirez, and
okay.
We knew each other because he was from Tampa, Hillsborough County, which is right next to Pinellas County. So we met each other back when I first started back in 2007, and our friendship grew over time. And when I left Eustis, he was like, hey, we have a role open. What do you think about coming to work for OutdoorLink? And I was like, I love that idea. Can I come work for OutdoorLink? And they're like, let's go. So they interviewed me, and I came on board in February of 24.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those products that when you see it and use it, it works for you. And I was like, hey, this is something I can get behind and sell, because sales isn't for everyone. But when you find a product, and they tell you that when you find a product that you like and you believe in, it's an easy thing to sell. And this is one of those items that, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, and it's a no-brainer. It saves communities money, and it's just one of those products I was like, yeah, I could sell this all day. Yeah. And I've been enjoying it since then.
And maybe to state it simply, it's essentially, if you have an electrical device, you can switch it off and on with your cell phone.
Yes, and schedule it.
Yeah, and it does more than that. It's more complex than that.
Oh, yeah.
But at its simplest, it's basically a switch on your phone. So you're not having to get out of bed. You can hand this switch permission over to a coach for a couple of months, and then you can take that permission back.
Yes.
And this way, lights aren't being left on, or people aren't having access to fields, or you don't have to make these keys and locks and off disconnects at 2 a.m.
Yeah, and I think that's what our clients, our current clients, and the future ones are learning, is that it is that simple. You can just sit in your bed or sit out on the beach and turn everything on and off. And if you want to, you could even set your schedules right there from your phone. So I think that really comes in handy for those communities that are struggling right now and have their budgets being cut. That, how Parks and Rec is, we're the first ones to lose our employees. Yeah. Every time there's a downturn, who do they cut first? The most essential ones, the Parks and Rec people.
Right.
It's funny, people move to communities for their parks and recreation activities, and then the commissioners are like, oh, we love parks. You guys do a great job, but we're losing money because we're not raising the millage rate, so we're going to take your employees away from you.
Right.
And you're like, but you just told us you love us, and we're the reason that our community is doing great because of all our events. But now you want to say, no, you don't need all those people to make your parks look beautiful. We'll just let it go natural.
Yes, you're the heart of the community. Now we got to rip the heart out.
Exactly. So I think that's where OutdoorLink comes in, is because that fear of 2008 happening again, when our organizations were cut, we were beat down bad, and it took years for us to get all our employees back. And I know there's organizations out there that still don't have all their employees back pre 2008, and that's where we try to come in and fill that void, is because we are giving them an inexpensive way to control their lights and everything else that's electrical in their community. So it doesn't have to be just for Parks and Rec amenities. It could be for anything out in their community.
Yeah. And so what are some of the other things that y'all are starting to switch on? I heard you mention earlier about bus stops, bathroom locks, doors, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool because the unit can truly power anything electrical. And we have relationships now with organizations that are using us for the big thing, when you're in urban areas, is bus stops, because mass transit. Well, we can actually power the digital e-readers on bus stops, and it'll work off our solar app portion of it. And it's great because you don't have to worry about the old paper bus routes getting ruined now, the digital ones. So that's one of the great products. But we can power door locks, gates, splash pads. We've seen fountains being used for it. I've seen pool pumps being turned on, that, you know, the older ones, or splash pads, and then pathway lights, security lights. You know, it's not just for field lights. You know, that's where people typically go to when they hear controls. Oh, I can turn my field lights on and off. Yes, you can. And that's wonderful. We want to give that ability. But we could also make sure that your bathrooms are tied into our unit, and you don't have to go and get different controls for your bathrooms. Right. You can use the same control for the bathroom and the field lights. As long as the power is together or close by in one location, you can use them off of one unit. It has 4 connections. So 4 different amenities can be used off of one unit to power things. So I think that's a big point, because you could have 2 baseball fields or softball fields and a set of bathrooms out there, and you only need 1 unit. And it's not on Wi-Fi, which is a huge thing, because that's a big thing right now, is secured and IT departments, and spamming every email you get these days and making sure it makes it past your firewall. Well, we're not on it. Yeah. You know, we're on a cellular network. So you don't have to worry about that security issue. You know, if they hack our network, if someone decides to hack OutdoorLink network, they're going to turn your lights on and off.
That's right.
So if that's truly what they're going to hack, and it hasn't happened, we have great security. Yeah, you know, but I had that conversation with the community. They asked me, well, what happens if they hack into you guys? They turn your lights on, they turn them off.
That's it. That's the risk.
Yeah, that's the risk. They're not on city networks, so you don't have to worry about that security threat. So I think that they were like, oh, well then, let's talk some more.
And this also works for really remote areas, correct? Because y'all started in the Billboard sign, which are some of the most remote areas you can think of.
Oh my God, it's incredible. And I think that was one of the things when talking with Dave before I came on, and the owner DJ, which he's fantastic and he's helped out a lot, is that it works everywhere. We're in 24 countries around the world, over 100,000 units out there, and some that have been working for 15 years out in the field and haven't been replaced. So we know it works. We know it works in the remote areas, because we work with, I don't even know how many cell phone providers now are around the world. There's a lot, and we work with all of them. And if one provider in the area doesn't work that well, you can let us know. We can make sure we get you the unit and the SIM card in there that works with your provider. So I think that's a big point for people to realize that, hey, even if you're out in, we'll go South Dakota or Iowa or Idaho, and it's remote, but you have a bathroom out there and you want them to lock because you're in a 800-acre park, and you don't want people driving out there in the middle of the night because, one, you don't know what type of animal might be out there or whatever. You could do it all from your phone and know that it's locking. So I think that's the best part about it, is that it can work anywhere.
Yeah, and this is, I think y'all are on your 6th or 7th generation, each time iterating, getting better and better. I'm sure they faced every type of insect infestation, any cold temperature, humid temperature that can possibly be faced through their Billboard part of their journey. And now that they're into Parks and Rec, you get a product that's gone through the gauntlet, and now you're inheriting the 6th and 7th generation of all that wisdom that was gained over the years.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way, especially because we did start out in the billboard industry almost 20 years ago with our product, and we really didn't break into the Parks and Recreation field until about 8 years ago. We started to come in a little bit, I think that we realized that it was something that could be applicable to everything else, not just billboards.
Right.
So, when you have that long of a product and it's getting better and better, and billboards are everywhere. You see them all on the highway. You see them lights on. You now see them all digital. And we're the ones powering that to turn on and the lights to turn on. So when you see lights going on, you actually can see our units on these billboards. And now driving down the road, that's what I look for.
Right.
I'm like, oh, there's our unit. And it was funny. Back home where I live, I was like, this billboard, the lights were off from midnight to like 6 a.m. So I went online. Oh, it's one of ours. And they had it scheduled to go off at midnight. And I'm like, so I called up our people. I was like, hey, you're missing out. My area, we have a lot of, I'm going to use the word, blue collar workers.
Yeah.
Well, they start leaving at 4 a.m., 4:30 to get to work. Well, they were missing out on that because it wasn't lit up. But then all they had to do was go into their phone and light it up.
Right. Then I have sent an electrician to to do the timer. Those mechanical timers, they can just literally flip it from their phone,
which is great. And then we have this Vantage product. So I don't know if you've heard about our Vantage product. So it will let you know if your digital display is actually displaying.
Oh, wow.
We have a product. So a lot of airports use this now for their digital displays and kiosks, because we can actually tell you if it's working. So you don't have to send somebody out to know if it's working. So that's a really cool product, because there are a lot of communities now that are getting digital kiosks in their downtown corridors and their CRA areas. So having them and being able to even know, because if you don't go out there every day or you don't have staff members driving around, you don't know if your digital kiosk is working. Because I had 2 in the last community, and most of the time they would go down because, well, it's say teenagers are vandals.
Yeah.
You know, they run around at an event, they kick stuff or whatever, it breaks. Well, you don't know unless you see it. Well, this can actually tell you. It's basically a authenticator. So you can make sure that your display is working correctly. So that's an added thing that you can work with us on and get that into your community.
Fantastic. I love how they're constantly getting better and improving. DJ has a great engineering team, and they actually brought a lot of their engineers here so that they could talk to the clients directly and get the feedback directly from them. But I did want to play, we made a little promo for Parks and Rec, the industry being an essential service, and thinking back to your conversation about how essential Parks and Rec is. So we'll play this little promo and then get Craig's take on it, and then we'll send him back to work in the vendor hall where he is closing deals left and right. Hold on one second.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present. Parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety, a playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
So how'd we do?
It hit the nail. You hit the head on the nail. That every time I watch it, I get chills. I will be honest, because you touch on everything that all of us scream from the top of our lungs every time we're sitting there talking to commission, and sometimes don't realize, because it truly is everything in a community. I will say that Parks and Rec make a community. If you have a strong Parks and Rec, even if you don't have the strong Parks and Rec department, but you have the open space, like you mentioned, it does wonders for a community. And this generation right now has gone through one of the worst things with COVID, which, you know, it's 4 years ago now, but the most important thing during that time was the parks, to get out. That's what they said. Just get out and walk in the fresh air, and because you're away from people, or you're in nature and you see someone walking by, and you just naturally smile when you're outside enjoying yourself in a nice park. And I've heard some of your other interviews over time, and they've had great comments. The tree canopies going down streets, lowering how hot it is. These urban areas are just, it's funny how you see all these urban cities adding trees everywhere and trying to add these pocket parks and taking old parking lots and making them, they're jumping around different spots throughout the city just to make a mobile park, a pop-up park. And it's working, and people are still using it. And you can tell when you go to a community and you have these events and you have thousands of people, not just from one community, but from the whole area coming to your event and just hanging out with one another. Yeah. There is no red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. They're just having fun at your event. And it's the video just hits everything, because it does. We touch on every facet of someone's life. If you're depressed, go outside. They tell you, walk. Trees do unbelievable things. Sit under a tree. It's amazing. They tell you to ground yourself, walk barefoot.
Oh yeah.
It's huge. Well, in a park. And if we didn't have our fields, these parks wouldn't be there. You wouldn't have people caring, like you, making these videos and showing people around the world that, hey, you do this will make your life better. There are studies everywhere that show that, hey, go outside. What do we tell kids all the time? Go outside and play. I know growing up, I was, okay, it's a Saturday morning, it's 9 a.m., go outside. But go outside, come back in at lunch, go back out, we'll see you at dinner.
Right.
And now that's great. And I did. And, ride your bike in a park, go somewhere, learn, go fall down. But it's just one of those things that you made it fun again with that video and showing. I think it hits everything. So I think it's a great video.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We'll definitely keep it going. And I really appreciate you stopping by today, sharing your time with us.
My pleasure. I had fun.
Love y'all's product. And thank y'all so much for supporting. This is one of the major sponsors for the Daily Parks and Rec show. Tasha, DJ, Dave, Joseph, and Craig. And they have an awesome engineering team. And together we're creating a monthly show just on smart cities and Internet of Things, and their company sits right in the middle of that cross section of Parks and Rec and smart cities. So looking forward to doing that, and I appreciate you coming on the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
At DPR's Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.